Welcome to this Domo Community Forums monthly meetup where we are introducing our AI Labs team as well as some really fun folks and friends across the Domo sphere internally in the company. As always, I'm joined by Mark Booth over there, VP of Community and all things. He'll be engaging with you on the chat. So Mark, thank you for being here as well. But today's going to be a session all about kind of bridging the gap between becoming kind of a newcomer or enthusiast to maybe a little bit more knowledgeable in the AI space with Domo tools, and excited to be joined by the AI Labs team to get that done. We're really excited to go over the agenda. As always, use the comments, the chat section to ask your questions and engage with the audience. And Mark will be taking care of all of those. Right, Mark?
Yeah, of course. I just want to shout out, who knew there was a Dublin, California? Raise your hand, AI Labs team, if you knew there was a, don't lie either. See, no one knew. I mean, Eddie, we got people from the Netherlands, from India, from good old Phoenix, Canada, Wisconsin. This is awesome. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you tell us where you're from and chat and engage with us there in the comments.
Some would say hundreds of people here. Also, did you know there's a Dublin, Ohio, Mark?
Dublin, I think Dublin's taking over the world. That's what I
The more you know. Thanks, Mark. We appreciate it. Mark will be engaging with you in the chat. And again, thanks everybody for being here. We do these every month, these community meetups every month where we invite folks internally. We invite some of our external folks. Last month, we did a demo slam. It was awesome. So go check that out if you haven't. We post all of these on our events page in the community. We also post them in the YouTube channel page. I just got to tell you, we're doing a lot to make sure that we're in front of you, giving you tools and solutions and engaging with you as an audience in our community. And we just love doing it. We'll love continue to do it over the next several months and years and tens of years and decades as we continue to go on here at Domo. Really excited to be joined by all of our friends on the AI Labs team for today's session. But before we get started, we also recently wrapped up in the community the Domo Plus Giving Tuesday live stream. So we have a Domo for Good program based on skills-based volunteering. If you are interested, we'll be posting that link in the chat shortly once I let the AI team take over for that Giving Tuesday live stream, so you can learn more about the program and also learn how Oaks Village and Rising Star Outreach and many more are using the program to benefit not only their communities and their nonprofit organizations, but also allow you to find a chance to give back, give your expertise, give your knowledge, and give your time. And a great place to do that is our Domo for Good program. We're also going to be jumping into our October Community Member of the Month, Raise the Roof. I know Flo likes to raise the roof every once in a while. Give a big shout out to Paul James. He's our Community Member of the Month. Paul James is a very, I would say, a promising Domo user, as he was recently named Rookie of the Year at Domopalooza 2023 in our Ovation Awards. He really has lived up to that title. Paul has skyrocketed up the charts. He's consistently asking questions, continuing to contribute. That was a little bit of a tongue twister for 4 new ideas to the Ideas Exchange. He's asked 3 questions in the forum last month. He's also answered tons and tons of questions on top of that. So congratulations, Paul. Lots of love for him in the chat. Paul's an amazing person. He also is an incredible community member. So Paul, thank you for all of the work that you've done to continue to help our community thrive here at Domo. Before we get started with our event today, let's promote the next event, shall we? That's the way so you don't get tired at the end of this after you know, your brain turns to mush. You've learned so much that at the end you're like, oh, I can't even think about what's happening next. On December 6th, we are going to be jumping into another AI session. So you can register for that event. I'll put the link in the chat for that event. Excited to talk more, kind of level up in that transformation data insights and empowering data citizens and data scientists all over the country and the world. And thank you guys again for joining us. That was 4 minutes of Eddie. We don't ever want to go that long, but here we are. So I appreciate that you've stuck with us this long. I now get to turn it over to my friend who we recently met in person, Florencia and I. We did. It was exciting. And her entire team and also friends around Domo to talk more about AI and how we can get them from newcomer to enthusiast to maybe an expert one day. And that's what their job is. So I'll get out of the way and let Florencia take over. Thank you so much, guys, for being here and being a part of our session today.
Thank you, Eddie. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And yeah, I got to meet Eddie in person and we hugged and it was just like a weird interaction. It was like, wow,
It was weird.
Like in real life. I don't know. So,
it was weird. No, it was one of those things, right? It's when you work virtually, as some and most of us probably do still now, and you're talking and having, like, we have live streams. I think, Florencia, we've probably been on 10 or 15 of these. We saw each other's person. There was just like this explosion of emotion. It was like, oh, I've seen your face for so long. It's so nice to finally meet you in person. So yeah, I love that. That was a cool interaction.
It was just unexpected. So it's fun to be here with you, Eddie, all the time. So thanks everyone for being here. You may have seen our team on one of these before. We've done a few. We've also been around with the Connections Tour. So we may have interacted with some of you, or you may have heard us present for a while. So we're just happy you're here. And we hope that the content that we show today is useful for you. We're going to be demoing some new AI features in Domo that are available today. And the truth is that AI really fits so well into the entire Domo platform. Each step along the way of a data pipeline can be enhanced by artificial intelligence. And that's what we're working on at Domo, is facilitating the various phases of a data pipeline by creating AI tools that are both useful and user-friendly. So just a little bit about what we'll be covering today. We're going to really briefly talk about the DSML AI, which is a mouthful, lifecycle in Domo, and then we're going to dive into the demos. And so we have members of the AI Labs team and Noah, who's an honorary member of our team, and they'll all be demoing a different part of our offerings. And then we'll take some questions at the end. But as always, if you have any questions along the way, please put them in the chat. We'll try to answer them along the way. Or it may be that if we don't have time to answer all the questions that come, we'll be sending out emails and to respond to your questions. So I want to have plenty of time for the demo, so we won't cover this too extensively, but this is really the full life cycle of a data science machine learning pipeline in Domo. And Domo has always been uniquely positioned to handle this entire pipeline. You can do all of this, from ingesting your data to creating the end user and technical dashboards, all in the same platform. And AI capabilities really just enhance the Domo product along the way. Once your data is in Domo, you can leverage AI tools to transform or engineer your data. We have some very cool features that we'll show today, and we also have more coming your way for Domopalooza. The Domo AI service layer facilitates the leveraging of models and managing your models and monitoring your models, and you can do so much with the service layer in relation to models and model management and ML ops. And that's what the demos will show today, how AI is making each step along the way more automated and more accessible and more streamlined. And again, if you have questions, please throw them in the chat. There's a few of us in the background that will be answering them as AI Labs members do the demos. So with that, I'll stop sharing and I will let Shelby walk us through the first demo.
Hi all, let me share my screen. Awesome. Are you seeing this example sales data set?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, just wanted to check. So I will be demoing some really cool new features we have with advanced dataset views and text-to-beast mode in Analyzer. So as some background on this, as you are all probably aware, if you want to do any kind of dataset transformations, creation of variables, beast modes, you have to know how to do things in Domo, obviously. But sometimes this can be a barrier for people who are new to Domo or who maybe don't use it as much as others, as well as, let's be honest, sometimes I'm just lazy and I want to do things very, very quickly in Domo. And that's where I see these really cool new AI features being beneficial. So first I'm going to demo the advanced dataset views. So let's say here I have this example sales dataset. And as you can see here, this is just a data set that has sales reps and how much revenue they're bringing in by type of department and in what state. And let's say I just have some questions or I want to do some data transformations on this data. What I can do now is go to Open with Views Explorer. So this is not new. Views Explorer has been around for a while. But we have this new Advanced Editor button. And if you click on that and then hit Apply, you'll see this new screen. And what you can do is ask a question in plain English, as I like to call it, and the AI will create the code, the beast mode, the SQL behind it so that you don't have to know how to do any of that. So as a demo, let's say I have a question like, let me pull this up. I'm going to copy and paste my prompts in. I want to know with this data set, who are the top 5 salespeople based on revenue? I click Create SQL. And this is the SQL code that it has generated. I hit Apply. And you'll notice, bam, right here, I've got total revenue by the top 5 sales reps. Very similar with data set views. I can do whatever I want with this. I can save it as a data set and then use it in a card, etc. If I just wanted to know the answer to this, there it is. The next really cool thing that I want to demo is you can do data transformations really easily. So let's see. As an example, let's say I want to limit this data set to the men's shoe department. Create SQL, hit Apply.
Hey, Shelby, real quick. Sorry, I don't mean to pop in here, but we did have a question I wanted you to address. Is what you're showing today available to everyone, or is this a beta stage product?
Great question. So right now it is in closed beta, so you have to request access. So just reach out to your CSM and they should be able to grant you access easily. That goes for this views editor and the text to beast mode that I'm about to show. Okay. So to continue here, you can see, again, it's limited the data set to only things about the men's shoe department. Again, I can save this more limited data set to do what I want. The last thing I want to show that I think is actually really cool is the ability to very easily join or combine data sets. So let's say that I want to know, let me pull this prompt up. Let me clear this out. Let's say I want to know what is total revenue by region. And currently I don't have region in this data set, but I know it's at which other data set it's in. I can just pull that up. Here's my other data set that's got region. Say choose data set. It's now been pulled in. I push create SQL. I hit apply. And there we have region by total revenue. The cool thing here is that you'll notice I didn't have to tell it how to join the data sets together, what keys to use, anything like that. As we like to say, the AI figured it out. And so I just had to ask my question, give it the 2 data sets, and it did the rest. So that's the advanced data set views with AI. Really quickly, I want to move on to demoing our text to SQL beast mode capabilities. So I'm going to use a different data set here. This is just a data set that has 1 row per county and different statistics about counties. So like household income, ages of people who live there, etc. And so as many of you are probably familiar with, let's say I'm in Analyzer trying to create some kind of card. And I realize, oh, I need to make a beast mode. You go to create a beast mode by clicking add calculated field like you usually do. And if this text to beast mode has been enabled in your instance, you'll now see down here this write your calculation with AI capability. And so very similar to what I just demoed before, you can ask any question in plain English and it will spit out the beast mode calculation for you. So to very quickly demo this again, let's say I want to do create a variable that is equal to high income if median income is greater than 75K and low income if not. I hit submit. And voila, there is my case 1 statement, and I am ready to go. The last thing that I want to demo here is that obviously not every time is this going to work. You may ask it to do something that it doesn't understand, or maybe you're using the wrong data set. So as an example, if I do this prompt, add together all the householder variables and divide by city land area. In this case, I've forgotten, let's say, that I don't have city land area in my data set. So if I hit submit, you'll get this error message. ChatGPT failed to return a valid beast mode expression. Please try rewording your AI prompt below. So in this case, I just need to get different data. But like I said, if something went wrong with your prompt, you can just reword it, hit submit, and try again. So that is the text to beast mode and analyzer feature. Thanks.
Shelby, another question came in here before we move on to the next person. How does it do when nesting equations?
Ooh, that is a great question. Anybody on the team want to jump in on that one? I haven't tried nested equations yet. The answer to that might be just try it and see, which isn't a great answer, but any insights from the team?
Try it and see.
Yeah, I haven't tried it either, but I'd say the more complex the question is in our tests, the more likely you'll have a hard time getting a good response. And so that's why it's so important to ask really clear questions and also have your column names like really distinguishable so that the AI can sort of try to interpret what you're saying. But the more complex questions, the worse the performance in general.
I agree with that. Great question. Okay, that's all I have. I think we're turning it over to Noah next.
Yeah, thank you for including me in the AI Labs fun today. I'm going to be demoing how you can leverage some of our new AI capabilities in custom solutions like Domo Bricks or Domo Apps. And so what I'll do is I'll share my screen here. Here we go. And if everyone can see that, what you'll see is I have this text to SQL query brick. And if you are unfamiliar with bricks, you can go to the App Store. Oh, and my tab's not being shared, but you can go to the App Store and search for the word brick. And then you'll be able to actually download this one along with 3 other AI-powered bricks that we've built as examples for you to play around with. The really cool thing about bricks is that they're like custom cards. So you have control so that you can see the code that powers this example, but you have control to really edit, take this as a foundation and make it perform a little bit differently. Or, if you have a really interesting way to implement AI, we give you the infrastructure and the tools to do that without, a ton of lift. So in this case, I've connected this brick to a top 10 data set. And I am able to ask natural language questions that then get translated into SQL. So in this case, similar to Shelby's dataset views example, I can ask something like, and I may probably have something in my saved questions here, who are the top artists and songs in 2022 by the number of times they had a rank of 1 on the charts. So I might ask that. And what's happening behind the scenes is we've taken this question and we've sent it to our text to SQL AI service layer function, which you can configure and set up to be powered by whichever model you'd like. In this case, we're using GPT 3.5. It's created the SQL query, which I can then apply to the data set. And I can see that Harry Styles had a song 15 weeks at number 1, which is a really good song. And I can edit this and play around because sometimes the translation might not be exactly what you're asking for. So you have the ability to have a little bit of human in the loop capability. The other nice feature of this brick is you can actually take the SQL prompts, if you're not that familiar with SQL, and you can send it to our text generation service under the hood with a prompt that says something like, please explain what the SQL query is doing, assume I don't know SQL, and also try to identify if there might be any errors. So you get this extra, checking mechanism. And again, what's really cool about this brick is I sent that in with a particular prompt, but you could change what that prompt is, right? So you can get back something different. You could change how this application works. Maybe you don't want it to output a table. Maybe you want it to output a bar chart, right? And so you have the flexibility to build AI solutions into Domo using all the infrastructure scale that we've already set up. So you can see we have this nice explanation of the SQL query, and it tried to identify errors, and there weren't really any errors in this, so it was good. But I love this example because it really shows you not only that you can get something valuable out of AI today in this form of natural language querying, but with the building blocks in place, you could really build anything you can imagine. And so if that's something you're interested in, reach out after. We do bricks trainings and apps trainings, and the AI service layer functions are available today in both of those capabilities. So the second brick I want to demo, I'll pause for questions.
Hey, Noah.
Yeah,
we did have one I wanted to talk here. What if we wanted to create some kind of form of app linked to the data? Can it create storage as well?
Good question. So you can build an app. So it would be a little more complex to do it. We'd probably want to use our code engine functionality as well to do some of the like writing of data. But you could do it from like a form, and you could have
cool.
AI
Jeff also said it'd be great at some point to see examples of SQL queries with subselects and also having clauses. Also, how to indicate full outer or left outer join connections. So just something to think about maybe.
Okay, yeah, great call out. Yeah, we'll have maybe some more complex query examples for the next one. Yeah, good point.
Thanks, Noah. Continue.
Yeah. So you guys can play around with this today, right? If you want to, you want to try more complex queries, you want to try different data sets. It's really good to start to explore this. Just like Shelby was saying with the dataset views, you have to be careful about how you phrase your question. You have to make sure the data is there, right? So there's some foundational things that they're still going to be important in the age of AI. If you want to play with this today, just go to the App Store and search GPT Brick or Brick and AI, those keywords. They should all pop up. There are actually 4. I'll show you a second one today, but that there are other examples too. So this second brick is really cool when you want to compare how 2 different models might respond to the same prompt. And what's really powerful about our model management layer is you get to choose which models you connect to, which services, which capabilities they power. And so, as new models come out, as the industry changes, you're able to really, monitor and see what models you might want to be using. So I have a few set up in my instance right now. In the model management layer, we have a GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. So I can actually ask, the same prompt of both models and see how they perform, which I'll do in a second. But I also want to highlight this brick is nice because it lets you edit some of the settings that get sent along with your prompt to the model. So things like temperature, which handle how random you want the model to, how much randomness to kind of inject into the model. Do you want to have a token limit on how much the model should respond with? Do you want to penalize the frequency of the same token appearing multiple times, or even just having a token already exist? You don't want it to do it again. So different ways to manipulate how you're interfacing with the model, and you can really just start to test that. So maybe I'll say, write me about Domo community with a pun for a small. Okay, and so we can see how each model responds. And of course, this is a little bit of a contrived prompt example, but you can see both models responding, and you can start to test. This gets really powerful when maybe you fine-tuned your own models and you want to start to really compare different prompts, how they interact in different, kind of how they respond in different circumstances. But this is a fun one to play around with. So again, you can access this today. You'll need to be, for this one, you'll need to be part of the model management beta to be able to, connect to different models like this. And you may have to have your own, OpenAI key if you want to connect to OpenAI models. But yeah, any questions on this one? Any prompts people really want me to try? That's a dangerous question, but I'm willing to do it for you guys.
Yeah, Noah, it's always interesting when we have so many people on camera, and I try to switch things in the back end so we can actually see faces and see comments. Our friend Jeff from the community here is an article that explains the basics of subquerying for references. Would be amazing to see AI handle these kinds of scenarios. So he's providing a resource for folks that I wanted to make available. Definitely great stuff. So no questions have come up since you started, Noah, and I know we're kind of diving very deep into the woods on some of this stuff. So we hope people are enjoying it, and please continue to ask questions, make comments in the chat section as we go through.
All right. Well, thank you guys for the time today, and I'll turn it back to the really smart people in the room, the AI Labs team, yeah, I'll be around if you have any questions.
Thanks, Noah. So I think for the next part, I will go over how to leverage the Domo AI platform to create models. We won't go into the details of how to create models, but just how to leverage the Domo AI layer to use models, create models, and leverage them across the Domo platform. So you can create models for common use cases. The AI layer is built in a way that not only can you create highly custom models, but you can also create models for more generic common use cases like forecasting, outlier detection, PII, sentiment analysis, in a way that allows a lot of non-data scientists to leverage those models and drive predictions or do forecasts. So I'll be going through an example. I'll show you an example right now. If you would like us to dive deeper into and do a more technical tutorial on how to create a model from scratch and make it available in Domo, drop us a comment in the chat so we know how many people are interested. That will be a more technical session where we open up Jupyter Notebook. We walk you through how to use the Domo Jupyter library to create those models and save them to Domo AI. Today, we are going to stay at the surface and just show you how to leverage a generic model in Domo AI. So with that, I'll share my screen. All right. Let's see. Okay, I can see my screen now. So I'll go through an example of forecasting. Just at a high level, in a nutshell, what is forecasting? You can use two columns, a date column and an output column, which can be any metric, unit sales, revenue, whatever, historical data, and drive forecast or forecast that metric over the next few time periods. In this example, we are going to walk through a monthly home sales example. So for that, I see here multiple years of home sales. This is all made up data, so some of it may not make sense, but stick with me here for a minute. So we can see home sales here for the past, I would say, I think 27 years. So what a forecasting model would do is look at the historical data, try to get patterns from it, and forecast that unit for over the next few time periods. So it will, in this case, it's able to extract an increase or an upward trend. It's able to extract some seasonality. There is always some amount of random variance in the model. So once it gets all that, it's going to it tries to interpret all that, and based on that, it will forecast the metric for the next few time periods. So with that, what we have done here is created a generic model. And we call it a generic model because you can apply this model on any type of data. It's not specific to, let's say, unit sales or revenue or temperature. This model can be applied to any ranges of data. So I've leveraged Domo Jupyter library and created that model, saved that model to Domo AI. So here I can see that model here. Once it's available in Domo AI, I can serve it up using an endpoint. I can use it in the deploy to I can use this deploy to ETL button to create data flows and actually run inference from it. So as you can see, maybe a handful of data scientists create common use case models like these, but a wider set of users in your org can start using these models without needing to know what's behind the scenes, or how to open up and do a Python code, an R code, or write up the model. So this is a forecasting model. Let's try a few examples here, or some data to test. So here I would say, let's assume that these are some unit sales. So you can see the range of data is in thousands or 10,000s. So I'll stick that in here. To save some time, I created the model. I started it. So I've started the endpoint. So it's now running. And this is an interface to test the endpoint. You wouldn't necessarily use this to call the endpoint. This is an example of the code snippet on how to call this endpoint in an app or from anywhere else. So I'll stick that input here, and I will then, the model is set up in a way that it will give me the prediction for, again, let's say this is unit sales for the next 24 months. So that's what I have here. I'll just go through one more example with a smaller range of data, or like a smaller, so the number of data points are more, but the range, as you can see, is in tens. So I would say, let's say it's temperature, and it's quite a bit of data. So bear with me here until while I scroll through it and copy it. Okay, so there you go. And I'm gonna delete this, stick it in here. Hope that I haven't got an extra comma or something in there. This might take an extra second or two because of the amount of data, but you'll see that it will then predict next 24 months of temperature or whatever this was. So those are the examples of calling the endpoint. While this is loading, I'll come back to it in a second to save us some time. Oh, there you go. So this is the prediction over the next 24 months. I can also say deploy to ETL, and this will open up this magic ETL interface. I can switch the input here. It automatically selected that model for me. I have a few sample time series data in here. I can select that data. I can go in here and say, how intensive is this model? How compute intensive is this model? It's a simple model, so I'm going to select a lower tier. It is a combination of CPU and memory that's allocated to this tier. I don't anticipate it needing a lot, so I'm going to select a lower tier. I'm going to unselect this because I don't want the input to be in the output. So I've unselected that. I'll select an output here, and let's say test output, test data flow. And if I'll save and run, it'll take a few minutes to run, but I have some examples here that I've already run. So when it's done running, as you saw, it's a very simple data flow, not much processing or not much pre-processing needed. The input I used was a date column and a value column. And then it was able to run that model, and the output was the next 24 months date and the predicted value over the next 24 months. Once it's available in the output, you can build cards on it, you can embed it in your dashboards, and so on and so forth. So that was creating a model from scratch using Jupyter Workspace and making it available in Domo AI. You can also bring in models from outside. So let's say you don't always want to build models from scratch. We also have several connectors or adapters to bring models from outside into Domo. It's like a data connector, just like you can connect to Salesforce or other connectors and bring data from outside into Domo. We now have and will continue to add more ML connectors and adapters to add models from outside of Domo into Domo. So in this case, we have an example of OpenAI. So again, I went to Domo AI and it opened this interface for me, add model. I'll go to OpenAI, and I don't have an account set up in this instance, but all you need is access to an account and access to some models as part of that account. And you can select that account, and then you will be able to select models that your account has access to and add them to your instance or your model view. So here it's a different instance. I had brought in some other models here, as you can see. So now you can use these models like any other models within Domo. So you don't have to build every single model from scratch. See that there is.
Yeah, Vishaka, we've got a question from the community. Doing a forecast takes several minutes with just 24 rows. I'm working with data sets having millions of rows. Can AI handle this? Question mark.
I would say that's why there are tiers. So I would go to a higher tier. So let me go back and show you that we have tools available here. If you run into performance issues and if you feel like even tier 4 is not able to handle it, contact us through your CSM. I'm sure we can make more tiers available with higher processing power, higher memory, and we'll see when we hit a roadblock or infrastructure roadblock that we can't fix.
That's why we have you here, big brain Vishaka, going through some of the questions.
Oh, I just connect people.
Yeah, Midco here. Is this model similar to the multi-period projection in the line chart, but allowing more independent variables? Great question, Midco.
In this example, we just did a univariate forecast. The multi-period projection, I think its concept is similar. I would say that probably uses a different model, different way of projecting in the backend. The beauty about this is, whoever is building, in this case, I built it, whoever in your org is responsible for building it, they can build any model they want. So it can be an ARIMA, it can be an ETS. It just gives your org more freedom to build whatever, to power that forecast using whatever model you want. Whereas you in the line chart, you were pretty fixed on whatever model was used by that chart behind the scenes. So I hope that answers your question.
Can I say something else about that one too?
Go ahead, Bob.
I think when you're using a model like what Vishaka just showed, you also have a materialized data set that you can then leverage for analysis. Whereas when you're doing it in a visualization, you just have the visual. You don't have it as a nice table that you can then use for any sort of BI or visualizations. So,
great point, Flo. Thanks for capturing that. And that was the part about generic models. Like I said, just like these models, you can create this forecast model. You can create other models for other more common use cases to allow a larger part of the org to leverage data science or ML or AI, whatever you want to call it, in a way that wasn't possible before. To you, Brian.
Awesome. Yeah, let me get my screen shared and we can look at a couple of more capabilities that we have with that model management system that just got shared. We'll be sharing that window. Very cool. So what Vishaka just shared with us was one way that we can utilize the new model management system in Domo AI to reference models that we have saved. So if I go to Domo AI and jump over to this model management system, you can now see we've got several models in this model management system, and we have what we call AI projects. So what I'd like to share is how we can kind of within this model management system, like Vishaka showed, we can deploy those into ETL. One of the really exciting features that we have that is part of that model management system as well is that you can gather models into AI projects. And this is actually a really exciting new way to use your models and communicate about your models and compare the performance of different models that you've built for a specific project. So I'll jump into this top project right here that you can see. It's been built by Shelby, and it is talking about employee turnover, and it's a comparison of a few XGBoost models that have been built for an employee turnover model. So just as a base here, when you're working on a data science project, you're going to run through several different models. It can be dozens of models depending on the project. You'll run through different types of models. You may run through an XGBoost, a random forest, a simple linear regression. You may run through several types of models, and then you may also run through several models within those types. You may want to use 5 of the variables that you have available to you. Maybe you want to use 9 of them. There's just a lot of different combinations that you can use for models. And often with these data science projects, a data scientist will run through so many different models that it kind of becomes a bit of a mess. and this AI projects section right here is kind of really helping to bring all of those models together and cleaning and tidying up that mess so that you can communicate clearly with other team members, with data science managers, and other people that are interested in seeing what models are being used on a specific project. So it's a really exciting feature for that. It kind of brings all of the work that you're doing into one place so that you can do a comparison of the models that you've built. One other thing that's really nice about this AI projects feature in the model management system is that you're able to bring models from different portions of the Domo product as well as from outside of the Domo product into one place. So Vishaka was just showing us that you can pull in an external model from OpenAI or other vendors into Domo that maybe are focused on your needs and can be applied to your data set that you're trying to run models on. You can pull AutoML models from inside Domo. You can pull models that you've built in Jupyter Workspace. There are a lot of different places you can pull them from and pull them all, again, into one place so that you can do an easy comparison and easy communication of the models that you're using for a specific project. So again, you can see here we've got this employee turnover model comparison. We have several AutoML models that have been brought together here. And what you can see here is that we have a lot of different evaluation metrics that have been brought with these models so that we can do an easy, quick comparison of how well these models are performing. And for this specific project, it's a classification problem. So we're interested in looking at the accuracy, precision, and recall to see how well these different models performed on those tasks. You can see that they're fairly similar with each other, but there are a couple of points here where they're standing out. So the accuracy, just the base accuracy, you can see that Model 9 performed better than the others. But perhaps, since it is a classification problem, you're often going to be more interested in how strong the recall or the precision was for a specific model. We can see here that Model 6 did very well, and Model 2 was also one of the strongest as far as recall went. And if we compare those across these metrics, you can see that the Model 2 had a bit of a dip in precision. So I may go ahead and select Model 6 based off of this quick, easy comparison I have in this AI projects feature. Another nice thing about this, like I said, it's good for communication. So I can come in here and select a specific model, and it works very similarly to a Domo data set. You can see we've got the title. This is fairly generic, the way we've set it up for this demo, but you may have a very specific title for this model. So maybe XGBoost employee turnover model with hyperparameters such and such, right? Maybe the title. You can change that description just like you can with the Domo data set. You've got a title and a description here so that it's very clear what models were used for a specific project, what you're comparing metrics across. And then finally, you can see we're able to deploy this to ETL like Vishaka just showed. And then you're also able to deep dive into where the model was built. So you can see here that we've got the AutoML. I click on that, takes us to that new tab and shows us where this AutoML model was built. If I jump over here really quick to another example, these are models that were built in Jupyter for forecasting specifically. You can see that we've got an ETS and an ARIMA that were used for the same problem. And the ETS has a much lower MAPE, so we'd probably choose that. So I can also access the Jupyter Notebook where this model was built if I want deeper detail on my favorite model from the models that were shown in the project. So if I click on that, it takes me to that notebook and it will load it, and you can investigate further whether this is exactly the model that you want to move forward with on that project. And yeah, that's the new project AI project section of that model management system that'll make it easier to communicate and easier to compare models that you've built.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everyone. We set apart some time at the end of this for questions. So if you have more questions, please put them in the chat. We're all here, and we can try to tackle any questions you may have. So
we are all here, including Mark Booth, bringing him in as well as he's managed the chat these past few minutes. Yeah, if anybody has any lingering questions, anything you want us to dive into, please utilize the chat for doing that. I see Jason Rice had a question, but Vishaka, as usual, took it over. So and answered it. Still supported the Model Insight Accelerator. Fantastic things there. Absolutely. We've got lots of folks, hundreds of people on. So please jump into the chat, jump into the comments. We're giving the time here to support you guys. So Mark, anything fun in the chat that you saw that you want to call out? I'm putting him on the spot. He loves that.
Just nothing. There's nothing fun. Nothing fun in there. No, there's lots of great stuff. Lots of great questions, but I think we've been answering them throughout. So I think we're in a good place.
Yeah, it's been great. Sounds great. Well, as always, go ahead, Florence.
Mark, is it snowing in Utah right now? What's happening behind you? Is it just?
No, but it feels like it should be really soon.
Okay.
It's like rain back there.
Yeah.
Daniel is waiting for Mr. Roboto to return. And
we all
with
are.
That, we appreciate everything that you guys have done today from our AI Labs team and friends and honorary member, Noah, obviously. Thanks for joining us on the community meetup. We do these insightful events, try to do them every month, and we love bringing our AI teams lab in to do those. Again, you can find all of our events coming up on our community calendar, or click the QR code, find the link in the chat for our next event coming up December 6th at 1 o'clock, where you can find out more about AI, the hot topics.
Hey, Eddie,
and
before
Brian, go ahead.
No, do that one first, and then we'll jump to another one.
I'm already on it, right? So, Brian, obviously, any questions, feel free to reach out to the data science SME at domo.com, and then you can check the link out. That's obviously a long link. I'm not going to read that one, but you can check that one in the chat as well for any questions that you might have related to what you saw today. Brian does have a question popping in here. Where have you seen the most AI-related feature adoptions? Which elements are people using so far among your user base? That is a fantastic question. Bryant coming in for the win here at the end. Flo, do you want to handle that one?
I'm not sure if I want to handle that one.
Oh, no.
I would say, yeah. I think the natural language based data views is a good one. The beast mode is a good one. Of course, use it with care because it does go to OpenAI, although you just send the schema. We just send the dataset schema out to OpenAI, and the SQL is created without it looking at the data. But those are the popular ones. Our users have also started diving into more of the bring your model from outside or create your own model portion. It's still in open beta. So so those are I think we've got good feedback on that so far.
Awesome. All right. With that, Mark, you had some closing thoughts, some final thoughts before we.
No, my other question there, which you just covered.
I'm seeing a few questions kept coming.
Yeah, Marco
we've got
had
a
a
few here.
question. Let's do Paul first. You're good.
Yeah, let's do Paul first. Can you speak to the dynamic of in-house expertise versus using outside data consultants? Should all firms have in-house data scientists? Should we stretch the IT department? Probably industry specific, but how about mid-sized firms and engineering field? Man, this is we've got some deep dive questions today, and I love it. Flo, Vishaka, who wants to handle this one? Shelby, Brian, not touching it probably. Let's find out.
That is deep.
Yeah, my first reaction is like, if you can afford a data scientist in house, by all means, right?
Yeah.
It's when you don't have that accessibility, then an outside data consultant is a good alternative, I suppose. But that's I guess a personal opinion.
Yeah, I would say it's a preference of the organization to have in-house or hire from outside. But good news is that Domo will also be creating some. I can't give out too much information, but Domo will also be creating some generic models for you guys to use. So you don't have to have data scientists. You can leverage some of the generic models that we create to start dipping your toes into some data science use cases without needing much expertise in it.
Our friend Marco has a question. He's going to Domopalooza with his team. Yay, excited. Can't wait. Can we have workshops on this? Because the training before the event is basic. Makes sad face. So what things are we doing leading up to Domopalooza to get them excited? Or are there things at Domopalooza happening to get them excited about AI-specific data science team, data AI labs team?
You got it. I don't know how much I can say, Mark,
Ooh.
but I mean, we'll take this request back to marketing.
So there are definitely some AI specific sessions at Domopalooza. Sign on up, and we'll see you there. More to come on everything that's going to happen there.
Well, can we just say everyone from
guarantee
our team will be there, because there will be multiple AI sessions.
Yeah.
At Domopalooza.
Or maybe just a coffee chat, right?
Well, we're actually thinking about having, Shelby proposed this, a data science fan club at Domopalooza, like an informal meetup where we just all go into the room and kind of sit in silence or actually talk about data science related things.
Yeah.
So
you may sign some autographs, some of your favorite people that you've seen over this past year on live streams.
Maybe we'll just make it a bigger community meetup, and we'll fund it somehow, and we'll just focus on AI at some point. Let's talk more about that, Dr.
Love
Rowley.
that. Kimberly, can you include how we adhere to the GDPR right to be forgotten when working with models, including sending data to OpenAI? Vishaka's head was shaking, and she seems to be the person I'm going to for most of these. Someone else raised their hand.
Yeah, there are some questions about compliance, right? Are we sending data out to OpenAI? Does OpenAI have access to our data? Is it training their models based on the data we send them? The answer is Domo is going about it responsibly. So that's why these are the few features that we have decided to incorporate, where we don't have to send data. We just have to send schema information to OpenAI. Again, we make it very clear that it is going to OpenAI. So if you have hesitancy around using it, if your org is not sure, it's, use it with care. I think this is also a dilemma that almost every org is facing right now with using OpenAI. So that's why one step at a time. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, love that. Michelle Hamad, our good friend Michelle from our community forums, a fantastic individual and one of our Domo innovators, one of our community coaches. They're experiencing a chicken and egg dilemma around data science. Thoughts on what happened? These are so deep. These are so deep questions about data science and AI labs teams, folks. Like, these are going deep.
AI labs come in and they just want to go deep. They're not talking surface level here.
Yeah. We're just going to go into philosophy on thoughts and developing capabilities before having concrete use cases.
Love it.
Hey,
love all these questions.
Vishaka, it's you.
again, it's one of those, gray areas. I would say you have to start somewhere. So like this forecasting example, if we create it, or if you create it, people start using it, that's how you'll get feedback, and that's how you make small increments. So let's say, we started with a monthly forecasting model. Then they say, okay, this is great. We need a yearly forecasting model. Maybe this model isn't working great, or it is working great. Now we need an outlier detection model. You have to start somewhere. That's just my opinion. So we like to say in data science, you have to start somewhere and get feedback and continually improve, rather than waiting to get all the information, all the requirements, and then start.
Also, I'll just add, and I'm reading Andrew's comment about how a data scientist shouldn't be your first data hire. And I think that just speaks to the importance of like having clean and reliable data. And I don't know where you're at with your chicken and egg dilemma, but having clean data is the first thing for either building capabilities or having concrete use cases. You need clean data for both. And so that's kind of the first step, no matter what direction you're going in.
B-Rad from the community. Any timelines on the availability to use other AI providers like Brad, Hugging Face, etc.? Those aren't real for these functionalities.
I know Databricks is now available to add as a model through our adapters. I don't know about Bard and Hugging Face.
I'll say that it's actively being developed. We don't have a timeline yet, but I know it is under development to be available soon.
There's Christy. Very soon. Very, very soon. I love it. Thanks, Christy, for popping in here. She's in the background today, a little bit under the weather. Wasn't going to make her chat or talk on camera. So appreciate her jumping into that one on B-Rad. Very soon. Very, very soon. So we'll have some good news. And I'm assuming he meant Bard and not Brad there on the comment. Hey, guys, thank you again. I think we'll kind of end it there. We definitely want to make sure that everyone is aware. QR code once again for our next kind of event here at Domo, AI-inspired event, an AI-infused BI, transforming data insights and empowering citizen data scientists. We're really excited to continue these conversations with you. We're continuing to try to find ways to reach our audience where they are, especially where they're at on the AI spectrum, right? Are you an enthusiast? Are you new to the game? Or are you an expert or want to become an expert? And we hope to be leading the charge in that way. So we always thank our AI Labs team for coming on and running these sessions. They are fantastic. Obviously, lots of shout outs to everyone that was on this call from our chat mob. Chris Woolman. We've got, I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce we'll just say MB. Thanks, team. Great session. Kathy, thank you. Great job. For everyone here. Mark, thank you again for working in the background on the chat, and for all of the folks here at Domo that were on the live stream. We'll catch you on the next one, and appreciate everybody being a part of our community. And that's where we'll see you next, inside of our community at Domo. Thanks again.